Hi, I'm recording this video to share my experience with a recent concussion and post-concussion syndrome that I had after a car accident, and I'm just sharing in hopes that if somebody else is suffering, that some of the tips that I give in this video could help someone else, because I know that it was a really tough time for me as a healthy person to go through this, and I can't imagine what other people are going through as well. And this could last a long time, and it's just hard for people to suffer and not know where to turn. This is all stuff that works for me. I can't guarantee it's going to work for everyone else, but just why not share my story just in case that it could help another person. What happened was in September, I was rear-ended on the highway, and it seemed like an innocent accident. My car didn't look too damaged. It was still drivable. But when I reflect back on that moment in that accident, I realized I was in shock. I put my car in park in the middle of the I-90 and walked to the other driver, putting myself at huge risk. I wouldn't normally do that, but eventually someone came and helped me get to the side of the road, and I got the information. My vision was quite blurry, and then I just got his information, let him drive off, and then took a few minutes to settle myself, and then I drove to my hotel, which was 20 minutes away. And when I got there, I was still feeling really dizzy and shaky, but just thought that I was just shaken up from the accident, no big deal. I didn't go to the emergency room. I'm an emergency room nurse, and one of the terrible things is that sometimes we assess ourselves, and I just kind of assessed myself, and I didn't think that I had anything going on that would require emergency attention. The next day, I flew to Japan, and what happened then was I thought I had really bad jet lag for a few days. I was just unreasonably tired for no reason, and I've traveled around the world. This was my 36th country. I know what jet lag feels like, but I was just feeling I had a really hard time with this jet lag. And then by day 4, I woke up in the morning, got up, don't remember what I was doing, I was standing there, and then all of a sudden I just fainted. And I had fainted in the past, so again, I didn't think it was anything I needed to go to the emergency room for, but I hadn't fainted in a really long time. And so I just kind of brushed it off and felt okay actually after I had fainted. So then I got in the shower, and while I was in the shower, I just started to feel like I was gonna pass out and throw up. It was like this feeling of doom. I felt just awful, like the world was closing in on me. You know, when you're shaking and you just feel just awful. I crawled out of the shower, and the person that was with me, thank goodness, he's a diabetic. He gave me a glucose tab. Felt a little bit better, ate an apple, got up, felt a bit shaky, and we went out for the day, and I just walked around feeling really weak. And by the end of that day, I mean probably 5 p.m., I just had a bath. In the bath, I got so weak I couldn't get out of the bath. I couldn't do anything. So the person that was with me had to carry me out of the bath and tuck me into bed. And I was so weak that I wanted a tea to hopefully feel better. And I couldn't even lift my hands to my head, which is so weak. And I'm feeling emotional saying this because I'm not that type of person. I'm a very strong person who loves to do things for myself and wouldn't ask for help if I didn't really need it. This was a really hard time for me because it was the first time in a long time I really had to depend on someone else for help. But because he was there and he was taking care of me, he was a good friend, I didn't go to the hospital again because I just thought this is gonna get better, everything's gonna be fine. The next few days were like a nightmare. I felt just nauseous all the time. And if I was standing up for more than 20 minutes, I would faint. So I'd be standing there to get on our shuttle bus because I was still in Japan, and I would have to crouch down and hold onto my luggage because I would lose my vision and feel like I was gonna throw up. The shuttle bus rides were awful. I would just sit there tapping my hands or doing whatever I could just to try not to puke or pass out. And we got to this hot springs in the mountains, and I could hardly enjoy them, and I love nature, but I basically spent the whole day crawling on the ground or laying around or having him help me walk me to my meals, but I had no interest in eating. It was pretty sad. And so the rest of my time in Japan was basically spent like that, going for small walks and then feeling this sense of like the whole world caving in, this immense sense of nausea, like tunnel vision, just pounding headaches. And it was terrible. And I got back to Canada, went to a doctor, got diagnosed with a concussion, which I already knew. My mom had to remind me that I was in a car accident before I left, because I'd messaged her saying I'm feeling so sick, I have no idea what's going on, and she's like, Kim, you're in a car accident. So then I got back to Canada and the reality hit me, like my life may not be the same. And so I started doing whatever I could to invest in my health. I went to that doctor the second I got back to Canada. I didn't even go home first, and asked for a referral to the concussion clinic. And I had this gut feeling like they weren't going to make the referral, even though I got the doctor to fill out the referral form and gave it to the secretary. So then I started looking into concussion clinics on my own and referred myself to a concussion clinic. And yeah, that referral from the doctor's office, it never went anywhere. I got the forms photocopied that said they referred it, but I never got a call from any concussion clinic that they referred me to. So I started attending a concussion clinic that I referred myself to that was headed up by an OT. And as the week went on, I started to feel okay, but it was like I wasn't reading, I wasn't on my phone hardly at all, I wasn't watching Netflix, like I couldn't stare at screens. I had a headache all day, every day. I was constantly feeling nauseous. And then if I was overstimulated, like when I'd go into the concussion clinic, they had pretty like low lights, natural light, but it was so overwhelming, the noise of the office, even though it wasn't a loud office, that I would just have a lot of symptoms come back. And it took several weeks until that feeling got better and better. And in the meantime, I was a very healthy person, not in my past, but in the last 3 years. So I started to do all the things that I knew to do. And one of those things was the fruit and vegetable capsules that I had. And I had extras with me in Japan. And so the days when I was just like laying around, I would take a few extra of those capsules and I would feel like this little bit of life come back into me, and I would go for a walk or go get food and then kind of like dim back down. But they definitely were one of the first things that helped me. And then as time wore on, I needed like something else because I was having these constant headaches. So I was doubling up on those fruit and vegetable capsules. And then I got an order. The same company has vegan omegas, because I had heard that if you have a bad concussion, you can take extra omegas and that will help. And so but I'm mostly vegan, vegetarian now, so I didn't want to go for fish oil. So thankfully, the company that does the fruit and vegetable capsules, they started a vegan omega. So I got that and I started taking extra doses of them. Just kind of trying to look if I can see. Yeah, so for 2 capsules is 1.7 grams. So I've read even with severe concussions or brain injuries, you want to go up to 10 grams. I think I was hovering around the 5 gram mark, and now I take 4 grams a day about. I'll take like double or triple doses still. The other thing I started to do was take a turmeric supplement, because turmeric is known to help with pain and inflammation. And it wasn't just the concussion that I was dealing with and post-concussion syndrome. I also had a bit of whiplash. So the headaches I was getting were also like frontal from the concussion, and then also in the back of my neck and head, all through there. And I was seeing massage, regular acupuncture, and I noticed big differences with that, but I know that this might be a struggle that I have ongoing, so I wanted to look into more things. The turmeric and the omegas, definitely after I started that, I noticed another big jump in my rehab. And then I have it here. Finally, I don't know why I had a block with physio, but for some reason, I thought I didn't need physio because I knew how to stretch my neck. I'm certified in teaching yoga, so I was just doing like different yoga stretches and it was helping. But I was so wrong. Once I went to physio, they do all kinds of testing. Like they could see that my eyes were lagging at certain points, and then as I progressed and got better, they could see that my eyes were better. They can help retrain your vestibular system so that you, if you have motion sickness, you can kind of retrain your body to not be so severe. So that was another big thing, is I had motion sickness like from this concussion really badly. But then the physio guy noticed something in my T-spine, which is like your upper spine kind of between your shoulder blades, and he thought that that might have something to do with my neck pain and my headaches. So he did an adjustment on a spot and it felt instantly better. And then what I started to do was use this foam roller, and I've still been traveling. Like I've been to Hawaii, San Francisco, Seattle, and I actually carry this in my luggage. It packs quite nice because things can fit inside of it. But I do this every day, and so I just like lay it on the floor and I roll my T-spine over it, and I feel all the like cracking, and it feels really good. I double checked with physio about the cracking. He says that it doesn't matter if you do or you don't crack. The cracking isn't a bad thing. If it doesn't crack, it's not a bad thing. He says it's absolutely fine. I was a bit concerned of all the cracking, if that like leads to arthritis, but he says it doesn't, and I noticed a huge benefit in it. The other exercise he got me to do, I'm not set up to do this, but you go on all fours, like if you look into yoga and you do the cat-cow pose, but instead of you'll have one hand on the ground, and then you'll have one hand like this, and you'll curl in like this, and up like this, and in like this, and up like this. And you really want to get that mobility in your T-spine and work those muscles. And if you're suffering from pain like a typical whiplash injury, I noticed that helped a lot. But what I would also recommend is going to see a physio yourself if you're not. If you're having ongoing symptoms with a concussion or a whiplash or a back pain, I've just been absolutely amazed with the differences that I feel through physio. So when you think of trying to heal your body, think of healing from the inside out. So think of fueling your body for better nutrition. For me, I started to do like intuitive eating, and I know dairy doesn't go well with me. I know heavy breads don't go well with me, and I don't want to say that I'm gluten-free, because I've never been tested for any gluten allergies, but I feel a lot better when I'm avoiding gluten. And of course, when you're like reading ingredients on food, if you're eating food that has ingredients, look and like just see if it, like, make sure it doesn't have any like ingredients that are on the do not eat list of things like added processed sugars or corn syrup, things like that. When you think of what you're eating in the morning, think of eating something really nourishing. I used to eat for the morning like processed cereals with cold white milk, and now I look back on that and like none of those things are good for my body. Now I'll have like apples and peanut butter, or oatmeal with cinnamon, different things, or a shake. But also our nutrition supply, if we think of our food, we need to be eating at least 8 servings of fruits and vegetables every single day. And even when I was off work for 6 weeks, I couldn't work, I still wasn't having the time and definitely not the money to eat 8 servings of fruits and vegetables a day. And the money might be a bit of an excuse. I live in Victoria, BC. I have an excellent supply of fruits and vegetables. If I go to like the root cellar is amazing. So I guess I'm just making excuses for myself. I just simply don't eat enough fruits and vegetables. And that's why the capsules, the 30 different fruits and vegetables, are just absolutely amazing. Because one, the fruits and vegetables that they use are herbicide and pesticide free. 2, I could list like 50 reasons, so I should stop counting. But what they do is they allow the produce to grow until it's fully ripened. And so if you look at your grocery store, especially I've worked in the Yukon and way up north in BC, where the only place you can get your produce is from the gas station. And think of, if you want that produce to be fresh, it's picked in like California, and it has to be picked early so that it can not rot by the time it gets to you. And then it's on the store shelves, and then if you cook it, you cook a bunch of nutrition out of it. But the more a plant gets to ripen before it's picked, the more nutrition that's in it. You can cut open a strawberry and see a strawberry that's white on the inside is lacking so much of the nutritional potential it could have had if it was like a fresh, bright red strawberry. So that's the thing with why this is so much different than eating your real fruits and vegetables. Like, totally eat your real fruits and vegetables. You need the fiber, the nutrients that are in them, but there's a bit of a nutritional gap there between how much nutrition they could have. And so supplementing with a fruit and vegetable capsule like this brand is absolutely amazing. could help you out so much. So they grow them all the way till they're fully ripe. And the next thing that's really important with the capsules is that they use the pits, peels, and seeds, because like 80% of the vitamin C in an orange is in the peel, but I'd never eat the orange peel. I'll eat my apple peels, and I don't even know if there's any nutrition in that, but don't eat an orange peel. So getting the nutrition from the pits, peels, and seeds that I wouldn't is also really important. And then the synergy of it, like when you think of how many different fruits and vegetables you eat every day, you might not get enough variety. And so having 30 different fruits and vegetables every day makes a huge difference. And I think that this definitely had a huge impact on my healing, because back in nursing school, I had several concussions, which is probably why this concussion was so severe, because I've had concussions with like a loss of consciousness at least 3 times in my life, and then a couple more concussions on top of that. And so healing from this, I definitely needed the nutrition from the inside out, and it's made a huge difference in my health. So I would definitely recommend you look into a whole food supplement. The other really cool thing is that the capsules and the soft chews are free for kids and university students under an adult order under the Children's Health Study. So if you're looking into getting it for yourself, you could actually sponsor another person or be sponsored by someone to have the product more affordable. If you're suffering from a concussion or post-concussion syndrome, I know that money can be a bit tight. And then definitely look into physio. It was like the most affordable treatment for me, and also the most effective. And so hopefully there's some tips in this video that are helpful for you. I could go on about how much like nutrition has impacted my health. Like, it's amazing the differences I noticed on all my body systems. Even if you look at me in this video today, like my skin is so much clearer than it's ever been. I used to have like bald spots in my hair that have grown in. An incredible amount of new hair growth. And that's just showing like health from the inside out. So look after your inside health with nutrition, mindfulness, breathing, and then also look at your external health of movement and what you can manipulate on your body to be better. I hope that there's something in this video that would resonate with you. As you can see, I am doing so much better than when I initially had my accident, and I know I'm gonna be fighting this possibly like lifelong. I don't know if I'll ever be back to working full-time in an emergency room. I'm not back right now. But the other key thing, I guess I should say, is manage your symptoms and pay attention to what gives you more of a headache, and then just kind of lower that stimulation, and just don't keep yourself locked up in a room laying in the dark, but just push yourself a little bit each day. The physio described to me green, yellow, and red zones of symptoms. Green is no symptoms. Yellow is like when you get a bit of your symptoms, but they resolve in like 1 or 2 hours. And red is like you get your symptoms and they last a day or two. Stay out of the red zone, but push that yellow zone, and you're gonna notice more improvements in your symptoms. And so definitely follow what your doctor says, your physio says, but also I hope something in this video has resonated and helped you.